Hello, CAU students, both graduate and undergraduate. Today, I want to take a little bit of time and share with you all how to put together a poster and how to also do the presentation. One of the things I will say at the front end is that any kind of research presentations, including poster, is an opportunity for you, your career, your profession. So you have to take it very, very seriously. Now, I am Dr. Ishrat Khan. I'm in the Department of Chemistry at Clark Atlantic University. I've been at the university a long time, and I have worked with many graduate students. At the current time, I have 7 doctoral students in my group, 3 undergraduate students, and I have 1 postdoctoral fellow in my group. And over the past decades, I had a wonderful experience and opportunity and privilege really with working and graduating over 28 PhDs and 10 or so masters. And my area is polymer chemistry. So I'm a chemist who works on polymers like polystyrene. But every time you want to present a poster, which is very common in my group, I tell them really take this seriously, because for a lot of the people who will meet you, this is the first impression they'll have about you, and it's an opportunity. You might get a position in graduate school because of a nice presentation, or the next job, first job. So it's very important. So what I say about when my grad students, undergraduates talk to me is keep the poster simple, right? I say less is more. Here's an example of a poster. There's just too much information in it, okay? If I were a scientist specific in the field, I might be interested. But you want to put together a poster where someone walking by sees your title and wants to talk to you and learn about your work. So here, this is very nice work, but you see how busy it is. So one of the things about poster presentation, you should have a poster with less information, and it's an opportunity to get you to talk to someone who stops by a poster. So this one, I think they have a lot of data here. And if people are going to walk by a poster, they're going to look at that. They'll look at all the data, say, oh, I don't know where to start. Okay. And look at the title here. If I'm not specific in the field, I just don't understand it. So you have to have a catchy title where people will stop, okay, and talk to you, okay? And always use a poster template, okay? If you're working through Kirk has this template. If you go to a national meeting or regional meeting, they have their own templates, and also templates that are available on the website. I think also Microsoft Word has templates available, okay? So what do I say? Have a catchy title. Now, here's a poster, which I think is really good, because if I would walk by this poster, I saw the title Internet Inequality. I say, hey, what's going on here? I'll stop by and start looking at it, okay? So what you want to do is have large fonts for your title, very catchy title, and have your font size when you print your poster. So someone 3 to 4 feet away from you or the poster can take a look at it and can read it, okay? The title, the university you're from, and some nice looking pictures and the photos. Like here, they have a bunch of young kids over here, and that would attract me to the poster. So the poster, remember, is a medium for you to get the person to stop by and talk to you, okay? Because you go to a meeting, there's all these courses going on, there are hundreds of people walking through all the rows of poster, you want them to stop and talk to you. The other thing I say is, when you do a poster, less is more. You break it up in sections people can read from 3 to 4 feet away. For example, a very short abstract. Most of my students who come to it, they write the abstract as if they're publishing a paper. That's too much. And even this one printed out, you could probably read the abstract from 4 feet away. All right. Then you have a background, the methods you use, experiments, the results, mostly bulleted because you want them to look at the key things. And then the conclusion. All right. And, any kind of funding you might have received for your work or your mentor has work, you should acknowledge that, because when your mentor writes a research report, they probably want to cite that, hey, my student presented at Kirk, which I do myself. And this was one of our products for this last year or the last 2 or 3 years. So make sure you have a very nice, clean poster. Everything you have should be high quality. And again, less is more. The person walking by should be able to read this very easily from 3 to 4 feet away, and then divide up the poster in subsections. The biggest mistake the students make is they put everything on it. You don't have to do everything on it. Remember, the poster is just to get you started, start interaction with whoever's interested with you. Have it reviewed by your mentor and give them some time, because invariably, even my students will come to me, hey, doc, I'm presenting tomorrow. Can you go over it now? Okay, so give them some time so they can go over it, make sure all the spellings are correct, there's no typos on it, and make sure everything's right. Make sure everybody who contributed a poster are listed. I mean, that's professional courtesy. Okay, so less is more. All right, remember that. Okay, everything should be nice and clean. Your poster should be readable 3 to 4 feet away. Okay, now on the day of to present your poster, all right, getting ready for the presentation, first of all, dress as a professional. You are in a professional environment. Okay, I love wearing sneakers, but even when I present a poster, put on a nice pair of shoes and slacks and a jacket. Okay, so dress as a professional. All right, and when you have your poster, don't stand in front of it, stand on the side of it. Okay, so people can see your poster as they walk by, and look happy. All right, have an elevator pitch prepared. And I tell this all my graduate students, undergraduate students, and is have an elevator pitch. What is an elevator pitch? Okay, so it is and you should memorize this. And the first time you meet someone and they ask you, what are you doing for research? You should always be ready to go. And this is that pitch. So it is like maximum 3 sentences. You could have 3 to 4 vital bits of information of your research topic, of your research, which could include the topic, which would include why it is relevant. It could include how it fits your research outcome within the big picture. Remember, I'm a polymer chemist. So if someone walks up to me and say, what kind of polymers are you making? I'm not gonna give them a very as a scientifical intense presentation of what a polymer is. I will tell them, well, the material we are making could be part of a space shuttle, and it would cut down the weight of the space shuttle if our materials are used in the space shuttle, and it's based on organic material. So say something that says, okay, hey, I want to learn more about it. Okay, or if I don't want them to talk to me, which you want to have them talk to you, I'm a polymer chemist, I do living ionic polymerization, 1 control molecular weight, and blah, blah, blah. And like, what are you talking about? Let me walk away from it, okay? So have this elevator pitch, practice it, and I tell my students memorize it, okay? But don't sound like you're rote just saying it. Put your emotions in it when you do that. Okay, have your poster printed, and this is before You should, if dress as a professional, get some professional outfits if you don't own one. And I had to have last year tell one of our grad students, he's going to do this presentation. I asked him, do you have a jacket? And he said, no. I said, go get one, right? So a week before, he did go buy a jacket. And so that's important, okay? And he did get an award for that presentation. I bet without a jacket, it may not have happened, okay? So just so it's important. Print out your poster about several days in advance. I know Cork does it. They have the template, and you print it out, and you practice. You practice, right? So once you practice, you can ask your mentor to come and work with you on the poster, and expect, role playing. A mentor could be a person walking by, and he or she could start asking you questions, but you should be able to have the elevator pitch ready when you do this practice. You could also have your friends who can be critical of you, of your presentation. Being critical means they want you to improve as you really go on. So practice, all right? Presenting the poster. Okay, again, remember, when you're presenting a poster, the poster is, mostly 3 by 5 feet, something like whatever the size they are. It's on a poster board. You're going to be standing, looking good next to it and looking happy. So people are going to be walking by and smile. And you should be smiling and be happy. If anybody stops by your poster and smile and say hello, okay? They probably caught the title and say, hey, I want to find out what this work is all about. If you're grumpy, they don't want to talk to you. They just walk by, okay? Remember, the poster is just the conversation starter, okay? Most of the time when I look at a poster, if I like something, I'll stand there in front of the poster and read it and let them go over the poster. And if they're interested, they will say, hey, what are you doing? You could very nicely give your elevator pitch, or you can have a longer story ready for them, okay? So it depends on the body language of you and the person, all right? At this point, we'll talk about longer story ready in a bit, but you definitely should have the elevator pitch ready, okay? Or if you think they look really interested, you should start pitching your longer story, right? Be ready to ask any questions. So don't have things on the poster that you don't know what it's about, okay? Make sure you understand what's out there, and it is your own work. It might be done by a co-working group, but you should understand what they did. And then if you have a co-worker's work on that poster, you should have his or her name out there. Look enthusiastic. If you are doing research, you've got to love it, okay? I'm an experimental chemist. When I was a graduate student, I was in the lab 24/7, right? If you don't like it, you cannot be in there. So show that enthusiasm about your work. Now, I said I have a longer story ready. When the person starts by your poster, you can very quickly say whether you really want to know the longer story or your elevator pitch. And you have to make a decision. If they're really interested, you can see that from a body language and the way they interact with you. Have this longer story ready. Have a story. Like all great stories, your research needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. This should be 7 to 8 minutes long, introduction, middle section. And as you're telling the story, and I would practice this story too, okay? When you see a great presenter, I remember when I took this graduate course in very advanced course, and I walked to the professor, and I said, hey, his name is Dr. Dale, Kenneth Dale. I said, your lectures are so beautiful. I understand it so much. You must be a natural. And Ken Dale said, Ishrat, no. For every lecture, I spend 10 to 15 hours getting ready for it. And I also practice. So think about it, just because somebody does a good job doesn't mean it's accidental. It is something they did because they practiced. They know the material and they practice. Now, Well, at Atlanta University, I teach organic chemistry. And I really spend a lot of time getting ready for the classes. Okay. It's not accident. I think through everything. So when you make this story, and it is your story, you're a storytelling here. So remember, it's a story. When all my doctoral students graduate, I told them you have to write a dissertation as if it is a novel. Okay. All right. So the story is very important. Okay. And so have this great story ready and give it to them. If they stop you, ask questions, yeah, answer the questions. Okay. Sometimes you may not know the answer. Okay. Then you can say, okay, I'm really not sure, but I can look it up and get back to you. Okay. So give me your contact information. Now, this is something number 7 is have a handout, a 1-page handout. Check with your research mentor if she will let you have this handout. In the handout, have the project title, your name and affiliation, your professional email address, the key information from your poster, and cite relevant papers that may already have been published or your professor has published it, okay? And any supporting materials not included on the poster that may help. But this is something your research mentor has to agree. Remember, if a person interested in your work and you've done a good job presenting it, and he or she thinks that you understand the material, they might be looking for that future researcher. They might be from around the university looking to recruit an outstanding graduate student or an employee for the company. If you go to national meetings, you'll probably see more industrial and corporate people there than if you are presenting a CAU. Okay. And some of these corporate people go around looking for people they can connect. Story, a friend of mine got a job from a national meeting when someone came up to him, asked a few questions, and then called him the next day. This is before email, so let me date myself and ask him to come visit his company. So he got a job there, right? So have that handout ready, or you can have a card. I know printed cards are old, but you can have it. You can have an electronic card too. I think those are available too. I have one of them. I don't know how it works, but I know I have it on my telephone. I can share it with people who have the same app. Okay. So remember, the poster presentation is an opportunity for couple things. One is expand your professional network. You might be in LinkedIn, which is great, but here you are working or meeting a person, another professional in person. There's significant value to that, right? And if they think you're good, all of us are looking for good, sincere people, right? And the way you handle yourself in front of your poster makes a big difference, okay? If they might contact you, say, hey, I have a job for you. Can you come visit us, talk to me? Or I would like you to offer a fellowship to our graduate program. Happens all the time. Again, this is an opportunity. Take it seriously, prepare sincerely, do your homework and practice and practice, all right? There's no accidents in being successful. People work very hard to be successful. Michael Jordan, is very good at shooting the basketball. And, if you heard of a story, he used to just shoot it over and over again. Okay, in his parents' backyard. I don't know, I saw the movie. So it's very important to practice. Another thing that's very important is when people ask you questions, you really have to be engaged. Listen to the question. That is a mark of someone that knows what they're doing. Welcome feedback. Be prepared to engage in discussion with the person. When I talk to someone, I see how they're answering my questions. Okay. And that's how I judge the person. Okay. So again, know everything that's over there on your poster. Know that story. Yes, they might say, hey, that particular reaction would not work. All right. And instead of being defensive, you can ask them, hey, why do you think it's not going to work? And how do you think I can correct it? Okay, so in science, constructive criticism is a way to improve yourself, or in any kind of research, constructive criticism. Most of the people who stop by your poster is going to do a constructive criticism or say, hey, I don't agree with you on this, okay? Have that engagement there. So I think that's very important, the feedback, dealing with the feedback, and how we engage with the person. Now, again, going back, you keep your poster, less is more, very, very important. You just don't put everything you did in your life on the poster. Make sure the person can read it 3 or 4 feet when they're standing away from the poster. The title should be catchy. I showed you an example of a poster title. I read it. I have no idea what's going on. The second one, the example I showed, beautiful title. I want to stop, talk to them. Dress well, look happy. I don't want to talk to a grouch. Okay, smile. Okay, and say hello to the person who stops by. Do not, again, do not ask them anything until they have a chance to review your poster. And then they'll turn to you and probably ask you questions. Get that elevator pitch ready. And if you think they're looking for a big answer, and this is something that when you talk to the person you pick up, have the longest story, okay? And if they will stop you when you're telling a story because something they don't understand, and answer those questions, okay? And this is where the practice is very important, is suppose, I know the Kirk Symposium is in March. You should say it's March 23rd. You should have your poster ready to go definitely by the 15th and start practicing from the 15th to 23rd, okay? So you have this time and take the practice very seriously, okay? All right, so that's what I have to say today. Remember, this is an opportunity. This will help build your career. You might get a fellowship at graduate school. You might get a very nice job. And also, you will join the community. You'll increase the number of people you know within the community of researchers. Even at CAU, you may be a biologist and a psychologist comes and talks to you. You're just going into the psychology world. Research right now is not only like I said, I'm a polymer chemist, but I have to work with engineers, I have to work with physicists, I have to even work with social scientists and education people, okay, to make sure my research gets done, okay? So remember, expanding your community is very important. And the poster positions you well to get all this started. And thank you. And if you have any questions, they have my email and contact information available. And this is what I look like. And you can always contact me via email. Thank you. Thank you.